Panama City invested heavily in an outage marketing firm after Hurricane Michael. They spent over $1 million for the K Global company to get the area national attention. We'll take a look at what they've done so far.
Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport have approved expansion plans. You'll find out how these plans might make your travels a little bit easier in time.
And Haney Technical College has received a grant from a national organization. You know how the funding will help students in the electricians program.
Live and Panhandle strong together. This is News 13 at 10.
Tonight on News 13 at 6, we kicked off a two-part special report on Panama City's decision to spend $1.5 million on an outside marketing firm.
K Global has produced some videos and pushed stories to the media highlighting the city's struggles following Hurricane Michael. But as News 13's Courtney Evans tells us, one section of the contract is raising some questions.
While Panama City has some marketing assets in-house, city leaders over the past 4 years have turned to the national marketing firm K Global to share their story. The firm worked to get stories in the media about the town and created videos like this one about the census.
For the love of Bay County, take your census.
And when the city partnered with the county to help homeowners fix storm damage, purchase otherwise unaffordable homes, and incentivize developers to build low-income apartments, they once again turned to K Global. The city spent $426,000 with K Global to highlight the Rehouse Bay project. And because it was a joint effort with Bay County, the city asked for and received $174,000 from the county to pay K Global a total of $600,000. For this, they got a website, a Rehouse Bay editorial that was placed on a national website, and several videos like this one.
It has been life-changing. The process was rather quick, rather smooth and easy.
Now, we should point out that the city has insisted that K Global provided much more than the key win videos and news stories that we showed. However, you might ask yourself why a project that helps residents who desperately need affordable housing needed much, if any, marketing. Bay County leaders seem to have eventually come to that same conclusion. They struck out on their own and spent about 1/10 of what Panama City did, about $65,000, to market the program. Bay County's marketing also seems to have been incredibly effective. The county quickly stopped advertising after all of the Rehouse Bay funds were allocated. Meanwhile, Panama City still has about $2 million left in Rehouse Bay funds. City leaders tell us part of the problem was an internal issue with an employee. They also say the comparison between the city and county's marketing efforts is not apples to apples. K Global was working to start up a website that is still in use, and they worked with another vendor to get the program itself off the ground. Regardless, the city is not done with K Global. A new contract will pay them almost $100,000 over a 6-month period for an economic campaign to attract new businesses to the city.
A lot of people are looking to relocate to Florida. Why not come to the Panhandle and specifically Panama City? And if they don't know that we're out here, they'll just think Florida is the peninsula, you know, Tampa, Orlando, Miami. But a lot of people have become awakened to the Panhandle. And what better place than Bay County and Panama City for them to come and relocate to?
McQueen said K Global's connections to the national media will make this plan a success.
We're just getting that word out to as far-reaching as we can. And having those types of companies that can have that kind of access that helps to share our work and what we're doing to set the table for their eventual economic success, why would we not do that?
It's too early to know if this new contract will bring more key wins or any new businesses to our area. In Panama City, Courtney Evans, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
If you missed part 1 of our special report on K Global, you can watch it on our website, mypanhandle.com.
We're starting to get a clear picture of the case that Panama City Police are building against former city department head Michael Johnson. Johnson was arrested last month and charged with grand theft for allegedly stealing $470,000. That money came from the Friends of the After School Assistance Program. Johnson had control of that charity's checkbook. Then yesterday, police charged Johnson with stealing about $85,000, from the Community Redevelopment Agency. Johnson was the CRA director. Investigators say Johnson bought 9 houses with the ASAP money, including 2 on Grace Avenue, then used CRA money to repair and renovate them. And they say he also bought 4 vehicles. All of this supposedly took place from 2013 until 2021. police detailed a number of transactions they are investigating. Last night, we reported those transactions added up to $1.1 million. Well, today, police clarified some of that money actually belonged to Johnson. They say right now he's only suspected of stealing $550,000. Our apologies for that error. Besides grand theft, Johnson is now facing additional money laundering and 19 counts of official misconduct. He's being held in the Bay County Jail on $200,000 bond. Lynn Haven corruption case is still headed to trial in February, but the two sides are now expected to battle in person again next month. And former Lynn Haven Mayor Margo Anderson and Phoenix Construction owner James Finch are facing a joint trial over a 5-count indictment that includes bribery. And their defense team has been successful so far in getting the original charges either tossed out or consolidated. And they hope to once again convince Judge Mark Walker that federal prosecutors have failed to properly prepare the case. Judge Walker has scheduled a motion hearing for December the 12th. If the charges remain after that, then the trial would be scheduled to begin on February 27th.
Now, your Viper First Look forecast, sponsored by Peden Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Temperatures out there tonight falling much colder than they were last night. Temperatures got down into the 40s. But tonight we're going to be low 40s, mid to even upper 30s. We should have another shot of cold air coming in tomorrow, which is going to help tomorrow be even colder than today was. So getting the trend here in the theme. 48 our temperature now, the wind out of the north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. That wind likely limiting any kind of frost potential. Plus our dew point is above freezing as well. So we're likely heading right down there around that number. You can see the cloud cover that's around with us and the secondary front that's back here. That's going to help reinforce that colder air as we go through the day tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about tomorrow night being the night where we could see frost and freezes, maybe all the way down to the coast. We'll talk details on that in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Ross. Travelers should plan to arrive early at Northwest Florida Beaches International for at least the next few months. The airport has a few expansion projects in the works. As News 13's Carly Horn tells us, airport board members hope these projects will help manage the growing demand.
The Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport Board approved several future projects at their Wednesday meeting. Construction's now set to begin on expanding their overflow parking lot and an expansion on the existing North Terminal and bag room. Executive Director Parker McClellan says it will be worth the wait.
As we look to the future, we know that based on the last several years of historic data, that our passenger activity is up. And as we do that, we know that the terminal that we have needs to expand. So we're taking these opportunities to begin that effort to move forward.
The airport created another temporary parking area on the right side of West Bay Parkway for overflow. They will provide a courtesy shuttle service. The parking lot expansion will be done by early June.
So it's going to be a little bit of a little challenging over the next several months as we transition from our overflow lot today, which is a temporary one, to another temporary lot. But we want to make sure that there's no cars left in there that would impact the construction.
The International Airport Board members say they want to accommodate passengers and try to make their trips as easy as possible, especially for the upcoming holiday seasons. The board is anticipating an 8% increase of travelers over the next 2 months.
It's the historically busy time. The difference between the November holidays and December holidays, it's a week long as compared to 2 weeks. So more people travel in that shorter amount of time.
In the future, the airport will start expanding the existing North Terminal and bag room. The North Terminal build out will create additional restrooms, restaurants, and ramp loadings for passengers. The bag room will help employees load passengers' luggage efficiently. In Panama City, Carly Horn, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
The North Terminal build-out will cost about $3.3 million. The baggage room carries an $8 million price tag. The federal government is funding both of those projects.
Back in March, a Texas man was charged with hitting and killing a 4-year-old Tennessee tourist in a hit-and-run crash. Within minutes of the tragedy, Panama City Beach police were able to identify the suspect using license plate readers. As News 13's Alex Schley tells us, it's just one instance of the successful use of a system called Bayrock.
Police officials from across Bay County came together today to discuss the results they've seen from Bay Real-Time Operations Center after only 1 year.
Bayrock was implemented in November of last year. The program is designed to use pre-existing surveillance cameras from around the county to help officials respond to incidents.
Most of these cameras are already publicly available. The traffic cameras that we have access to, every citizen has access to those cameras through the Bay County website.
In the past year, the program has aided in finding 6 missing people, 32 wanted people, 26 stolen vehicles, and 7 hit-and-run suspects.
Probably one of our biggest successes was in March of 2022, the spring break time frame, the spring break takeover, where we used Bayrock resources for really the first time on a large-scale incident like this.
In the event of an incident at a school, police are able to access all the cameras on the property, giving them a bird's-eye view of the situation and in turn helping them determine the necessary actions needed to keep students safe.
As long as the information is being put out, we can turn around and say, hey, the person has moved from the breezeway in between one school area, or he's moved from the office to here.
The cameras are also equipped with license plate readers.
In the event of like a stolen vehicle, if this was a stolen vehicle, we'd verify that this was the tag through our FCIC, NCIC to make sure that it was the correct vehicle. And what we would do at this moment, verify through the picture if it's the same vehicle. We'll push this real live picture then out to the guys in the field.
Residents can also assist police by registering their home surveillance cameras with Bayrock.
We don't have access to their camera systems, but we are able to communicate with them saying that a crime occurred in your neighborhood. It provides a very efficient way for them to then send that camera data to us.
Officials say they will continue to grow the Bayrock network over the coming years. In Panama City, Alex Schley, News 13 Panhandle Strong.
Sheriff's officials emphasize they're not using this technology to create a Big Brother world. They say Bayrock is only used in emergency situations.
Haney Technical College has received a gift that will help the students in the electricians program. It's one of a handful of schools selected for the grant. As News 13's Christiana Roberson tells us, the students are the ones who actually earn the honor.
For anyone who makes their living with tools, this would be any trade worker's dream come true. Students enrolled in Haney Technical College's electricians program get to use them every day. They were a gift from the National Center for Construction Education and Research.
The quality of a construction worker is usually shown by the quality of tools he uses. They provided us with DeWalt's tools, which is one of some of the top line tools we're going to find out in the construction trades. So it's the quality of tools that they provided us.
Haney is one of the only 8 schools in the nation to receive the NCCER's Core Toolbox Grant. 150 schools applied. Senior Manager Matt Clark says schools had to meet certain standards to be considered.
They were all accredited training education facilities under an industry sponsor. There was 150 that submitted to win, and 8 were chosen.
Clark says the standards evolve based on the industry's needs. Collar says when the tools are good, the quality of the work is better, and the toolbox itself has provided more storage space in the classroom.
We have a lot of students in our class this year, so we had to build stalls outside in which we already put a lot of these new tools to work.
In Panama City, Christiana Roberson, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
This is NCCER's second year for the Toolbox Grant program and the first time Haney has won.
You may have seen them strumming around town or marching and playing in parades. The Ukulele Orchestra of St. Andrews has been around since 2013. This group is more than just a bunch of people playing music and having a good time. The orchestra accepts donations from their audiences that they then give to worthwhile causes. Lynn Haven Elementary, Genesis Community School, and Gulf Coast State College have all received grants. The orchestra has also given money to the Bay County Public Library to buy ukuleles available for checkout. They're also funding beginning ukulele classes at the library on the first Saturday of every month.
Any kind of stuff that people need in their classrooms, mainly we donate to the schools, but we have reached out to the community as far as music and arts, anything to do with music in the community.
And if you or someone you know would like to apply for one of these grants, we have all the details on our website, mypanhandle.com. It's been a major shakeup in the House of Representatives. One political party has now claimed control. You'll hear how that could affect the balance of power.
You're watching News 13 with Amy Hoyt. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Ross Whitley. Sports with Sam Granville and Tom Lewis.
Republicans have won control of the U.S. House. More than a week after Election Day, Republicans secured the 218th seat needed to flip the House. But the total seat count may not be known for several weeks until the final vote counts in several competitive races. Any legislation that comes out of the House will have to get by the Senate, where Democrats hold a slim margin. The U.S. Senate race in Georgia is headed to a December 6th runoff election.
The colder temperatures are here to stay for more than a few days, and even frost and freeze likely. We'll talk about details coming up.
Now your First Alert Storm Team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Ross Whitley.
Cold conditions tonight, but not quite frost or freeze. Typically 36 and 37 is when we would start to suggest the possibility of freezing conditions to allow for frost, but with the breezy conditions tonight as well as the cloud cover, unlikely to see a whole lot of frost out there tomorrow. Plus our dew points are above freezing as well, so that latent heat process to allow frost to develop prior to getting to the freezing mark, not really there. So I don't think we're going to see a ton of frost out there tonight. However, tomorrow night, I think we'll see widespread frost. And speaking of that, it is quite cool. 49 in Blountstown, 48 in Marianna. We've got 48 in Panama City now, 47 to Funiac Springs. Most of us are going to end up in the lower 40s. Some of us will even end up in the mid to upper 30s. Tomorrow night, that's when we could see those temperatures drop down to say around 30 degrees. Might even see some locations as cold as the upper 20s. And along I-10, that's where that's going to be favored. But I can't say that we're not going to see frost further off to the south. So even the counties that aren't highlighted across our area, if you've got sensitive vegetation you want to keep alive, I would certainly protect those plants tomorrow night, as we will likely see temperatures flirting with freezing and probably widespread frost across the area as well. Out there tonight, we've had a little bit of precip around the area. Nothing reported in our specific area, but even reports of some light sleet in portions of Alabama. And the reason for that is the precipitation is falling through very dry air. So as it is falling through that dry air in the mid-levels, that allows for that mid-level, as evaporation occurs, to drop below freezing. So those rain droplets actually freeze, and and then they fall into an air mass that's well above freezing because we're in the 40s. So obviously we're not talking about any kind of implications here, but unlikely to see any of this precip actually make it to the ground thanks to the dry environment. But hey, we did have at least some sleet reported around the area. Wouldn't be surprised on Saturday if we did that as well. 56 for our coastal areas tomorrow, 54 for our inland areas. Definitely cold. The wind out of the north at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And this is what I'm talking about. Cloud cover clearing out tomorrow. That's what should allow us to really fall down to freezing as we go into tomorrow night. But here comes the precip on Saturday. And again, dry air mass in place, cold conditions. Might see a little bit of sleet if we do get precip to actually make it to the surface. Now, I'm not completely convinced we actually see anything fall all the way to the surface, but if we do, wouldn't shock me. Temperatures are going to be well above freezing, so no implications there, and rain chances are really low, about 30% overall, but it is cold. No days over the next 7 at or above our average high for this time of year, which comes in at 72. Next Thursday, which happens to be Thanksgiving Day, also appears to be the only day over the next 10 that may actually be at the average, which we could be about 72, 73. Right now, it does look like on Thanksgiving Day, we may have some showers or thunderstorms to deal with as the potential for cold fronts coming through about that point in time, because that's the way it always goes, right? Nobody cares, though, because we'll all be inside eating.
That's right.
So
We'll all be inside eating. That's correct.
So it can rain all day.
Or you're working.
Yeah, or working. One of the two.
Yeah, bah humbug.
Thanks, Ross.
Well, News 13 is partnering with Bill Kramer Chevrolet this year for the Salvation Army's Empty Stocking Fund.
The total continues to climb. It's grown to $32,488 just since our 6 o'clock newscast. Now, if you'd like to donate, use your cell phone right now to scan the QR code or the flow code there in the corner of the screen and make a donation. You can visit our website, mypanhandle.com. You can drop a check by the deposit box in the Bill Kramer Chevrolet showroom, or you can drop off or mail your check directly to the Salvation Army. Address is 1824 West 15th Street here in Panama City. If you're hoping to get ahead on your holiday shopping, you may want to visit the Emerald Coast Christmas Bazaar this weekend.
More than 100 vendors will be selling products at the Boardwalk Beach Resort Convention Center. That's on Thomas Drive. You can find everything from clothes and toys to even custom knives. Event organizers say there will be something for everyone. The big raffle item this year is an 11-foot tree decorated with $3,000 worth of restaurant gift cards. Raffle winners will be announced Sunday evening. The bazaar starts Friday at 10 a.m. It costs $5 to get in. Most of the proceeds go to Second Chance, which helps people dealing with brain injuries.
Battle of the top 2 programs in JUCO D1 men's basketball as Indian Hills hosted Northwest Florida State.
Find out if the Raiders could survive the ultimate road test.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
And now sports with Kaylee Tinglestad.
Two undefeated teams holding the top two spots in the NJCAA men's D1 basketball rankings met on the court tonight for one of the biggest showdowns of the season. Number 2 Indian Hills played host to number 1 Northwest Florida State College. In the first half, it was a back and forth brawl between the two, and heading into halftime, the Warriors led the Raiders 43-42. In the second, the Indian Pools put their foot on the gas pedal and did not let up. The Raiders able to close the gap towards the end, but the clock would tick down and the Warriors would win this one 108-99, handing the Raiders their first loss of the season. One Bay County team has been dominant the last few years and is looking for redemption after falling short in the state championship title game last year. 114 wins, 18 losses, and 6 ties is the record of the Arnold boys soccer team over the last 6 seasons.
We've tried to change the culture at Arnold ever since I've been here. I think we've done that. There had only been one team in Bay County history to ever make it to the Elite Eight, and we've done that 5 years in a row. And I've been here 6 years, and so we're very proud of that. We're very proud of all of our accomplishments. Winning 3 regional championships, which has never been done. Winning the state championship, going back to the state championship.
In the 2020-21 season, Arnold went undefeated to win the state title, and last year's team made it all the way to the state championship game, but fell 1-0 to Bell and Jesuit. This year, the Marlins' sights are set for another run to state, and Hammond feels it's possible with the amount of talent on this year's team.
Yeah, I think this is the most talented team I've ever had at Arnold, and that's from the first player to the last player. I always say it, and I've reminded these guys, we can have all the talent in the world, but that doesn't always equal success. So we got to figure out how to come together and be successful on the field.
Chemistry has been a major focus for the team, with 5 new players joining the roster from other programs, including Felix Reimer, who is transferring from Orlando City Academy and MLS Next League.
Really just since there is so much talent on our team, that we have chemistry and unity, and that we don't play as individuals, but as a team, since most of us are new, so to play as a team.
Some players transferring from competing schools for the experience of being a part of the Arnold team.
Everybody being so talented on this team, it really pushes me to be a better player. And I've honestly learned so much new stuff with being on this team. And I feel like as the months go on, I'm going to continue to learn a lot more.
Hammond says building a tough strength of schedule is important to challenge this team, even though the strongest competition may be on the practice field.
Everybody here is talented. It's pretty awesome to see. Sometimes, the games we have in practices are tougher than the games we have, in the game.
Next up for the Marlins, they host Lincoln on Friday night at 6 p.m. That's all for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
A rescue dog in Connecticut paints, but not with his paws. The special artist is named Van Gogh.
He paints art with his tongue. The 7-year-old pit bull was rescued from a North Carolina dog fighting ring, which left him with some injuries. Van Gogh learned to paint with his tongue after the founder of the rescue home put a canvas with paint into peanut butter coated plastic bag. Yeah, that's what I said, a peanut butter coated. The center held a gallery show for his pieces to see if they could find someone to adopt him, and now it got him quite a bit of attention nationwide, as you can imagine. So,
oh, what a cute pup.
So does the dog know how to paint, or does it just like peanut butter?
I think it just licks the peanut butter,
I think
voila, there's a painting.
I think it's
That's
both.
it, you know?
Because Bo loves peanut butter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So do I.
Put some paint in it. There you go. Thanks for having us in for news.
Good night.